Okay, by now you're familiar with this statement, system.out.println, which stands for print line. You know that everything that you put here between those parentheses will be printed in one line. So the next print statement is printed in a separate line, right? So that's why our output looks like this. First number is, and then second number is. These are in separate lines. And the new line is actually just another character. There is something called a new line character, which is added automatically when you use this method println. If you don't want that, if you don't want to print a new line character, then you just remove the ln part. There's a method called print, which only prints whatever you specify here. So if there's no new line character here, it's not gonna print it. Okay, so I changed the example. Here I have print. This is the first output. And then I have another output statement. Maybe I'll make this print ln, and this is the second output. Okay, now if I run this program, this is what I got. This is the first output. This is the second output. All of it was in the same line because this method did not add a new line character, right? If you use println, then you got those outputs in two separate lines. That new line character is an example of a special character. Special characters, there are a few of them, and you can add them to any string that you have. So I could add a new line character here at the end, right? But it's not something that you can use an actual character from your keyboard because you just use enter, right? So if I use enter, then that's what I get, which is not what I want. I don't want to actually hit enter in my text editor, in my Java program. I want that new line character to be added to the output. So the way we specify those special characters is using the backslash. The backslash is used to indicate that, okay, the next thing that I am writing here is a special character. For the new line, it's n, right? So backslash n indicates a new line character. Okay, so this could be just print, right? It's not gonna automatically add a new line character, but because I specified this backslash n, it added the new line character to the end of that string, right? So I could add also a new line character here after is. And if you run this, see, I got this is, and then the space was after the new line character, and then the rest of that sentence, right? For example, I could add it here. So before the character F, a new line character was added, and so we ended up in a third line. Backslash n is an example of what we call an escape sequence, and the backslash itself is called an escape character. Escape sequences are characters that are difficult to specify in your strings, so you have to denote them in a different way. Like the example you just saw, backslash n. It's difficult to denote a new line character by typing enter, because then you're just adding a new line in your code. But if you want to add a new line to a string, you have to use the escape sequence backslash n. Another example that's easy to see why it's difficult is the double quote. In your strings, a double quote is actually used to identify the beginning and end of a string, right? So we know here, if you put a double string, you're closing that string, right? Let me remove all these. Okay, so, but what if I actually want to type the quotes in my string? What if I actually want those quotes to be part of the string? Like maybe I want the word first to be surrounded by quotes. Like I want something like this. See, I'm getting an error because what the compiler understands is that here I am closing the string. So if you're closing a string, what is this? What does first mean? This is not a valid Java statement, right? You could put something like a plus, this is fine, but first is not a valid keyword or operator. You cannot do this, right? So I cannot actually type a string, a quote as part of a string, because it will just end that string. Now to actually specify the quote, you can use backslash quote and backslash quote here. Now the compiler understands, whenever you type backslash, it understands that the next thing that you're going to type is something special that you want to be part of your string. Okay, so now if I output this, this is the first output. And again here, because I'm using print, there's no new line character, but I can add it manually here. So other examples of special escape sequences are the tab character. So that's a large space. You can denote that using backspace T. You can use backspace as well. You can delete characters, but this is not very useful. Just don't put them there. The backslash itself is a special character, because if you just type one backslash, then the compiler is expecting, okay, what is the special character that you want to output, right? So if you want backslash itself to be in your output, you just put double backslashes.